Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talk About Houses. I'm Todd.
I'm Juana.
So very interesting Market Watch article came out on Realtor.com. We're going to talk about it because this is going to surprise people. But before we do that,
I just want to say, if you've missed us, please hit the like button. We've missed you guys. And to the gentleman who stopped me at the Tide dry cleaners today, thank you. We appreciate you watching the channel. Okay, get back to work.
Okay. Somebody else recognized you today.
Oh,
they called you.
They called me, yes.
Okay, so here's the article. U.S. new home sales surge 28.8% in August. Mm-hmm. Okay, you're probably like, what? No, because we're only hearing bad news. Why is this? Okay, we're going to talk about this in detail because this actually is a thing. This actually happened. Mm-hmm. But there's a reason for it. Mm-hmm. And the reason why we want to talk about this specifically is because a lot of time the data you get is not whole data, or it has a behind the scenes, this is why. And a lot of times people aren't interested in telling you why that is. They just want to focus on outliers and really beat up those to make a big deal about it, okay? So we're going to start with the numbers, and then we're going to analyze, we'll talk about these. Okay. Now this is only new home sales, new builder home sales. Okay, the numbers. The U.S. new home sales surged to a 28.8% to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of 685,000 in August from a revised 532,000 in the prior month. The Commerce Department reported on Tuesday. That's the second biggest jump on record for new home sales. The pace of sales is a sharp reversal of a drop of 8.6% in July. Okay, so let's talk about volatility in the housing market.
Right.
There's volatility.
There is. There's been a lot of volatility, particularly in the last few months as interest rates have jumped. But why did all these homes close in August, right? I think that's what everybody wants to know.
Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay, so remember, homes get built over time, over many months. So probably, number one, a lot of these homes were started many months ago, maybe even the year before, and this is when they closed escrow. A lot of people wanted to close escrow in August for a couple reasons. One, maybe personal issues like a job relocation or maybe kids starting school. The other reason is because they wanted to take advantage of interest rates before they kept going up. So there are a lot of things going on in there. Builders were probably getting a little bit anxious too, so maybe they incentivized people to close either early or to purchase any inventory where the previous purchasers, for whatever reason, couldn't complete the purchase, so now they had standing inventory. So maybe they gave some incentives there. I know that's happening here locally in Las Vegas.
Right.
They're incentivizing both real estate agents and buyers to come out and get these homes off the market.
Year over year, new home sales are still down by 0.1%. Mm-hmm. That's probably, everyone was expecting some horrendous number. But remember, this is a lagging indicator. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's highly likely when we're sitting here next year at this time, this will be a much bigger number. Mm-hmm. What's another reason that the number actual, now this isn't the number of the prices of the homes. Mm-hmm. This is the number of sales. Mm-hmm. Why maybe next year could this be a huge, like maybe next August, this could be a big number. It could be 20 or 30%. It could be a lot less than this year. What would that be?
Right. So I think a concern that a lot of us have as we're looking at housing inventory, particularly because builders are looking to build less homes in the coming year. Now, they're looking to build less homes in the coming year for a couple of reasons. Number one, the cost of money. And the cost of money to builders, what I mean by that. So builders have to borrow money in order to build homes. It's costing them more money to borrow money, so that might be a reason why they might build less homes. The other reason is that they're looking at higher interest rates, and that's making them think that they might have trouble moving their inventory, so maybe they're going to reduce the amount of inventory that they're going to have available over the next 12 months.
The other thing they may do is it may change the mix of homes they build, prices. Mm-hmm. Maybe they won't build those $1 million homes anymore. Maybe they'll just build the smaller homes that maybe can qualify for FHA or VA, and because they're targeting a different buyer that maybe has a better chance of getting a loan that's more affordable, or they take all they take all this into account.
They do, and builders are very good at doing their analytics. So I think they're going to look at over the next 12, 18 months, which segment of the market are more likely are the most likely buyers, right? So are the most likely buyers under 400,000? Are they 300 to 500? Where are they? Where is that sweet spot? And I think they're going to definitely focus on that. Also, in their particular market, they're going to look at what everybody else is doing and saying, hey, is there a missed opportunity somewhere? Maybe everybody's focusing on the under 600,000. Maybe we will build some luxury homes that are $1 million homes because nobody else is doing it. So builders are very good about jockeying for position that way.
Here's some details. The median sales price of new homes sold in August was $436,800, down from the record $458,200 in April. Okay.
Right. So remember, these are national numbers. So they are not for a particular market. These are national numbers.
Right. And remember, this is the record. We're comparing this to the record. Mm-hmm. That's a 5%. Mm-hmm. So it's 5% off the highest ever. Mm-hmm. That was the record ever. That's so 5%. Okay. The supply of new homes for sale, this is the number of new homes for sale, dropped 22.1% between July and August, which is an 8-month supply of new homes. Normally there's more of a supply of new homes. Mm-hmm. There's a bigger supply of new homes, but it's less because the number of homes for sale dropped, because we did a thing on this 6 months ago. The builders for months and months, every month, have been building less houses because it's more expensive for them to build houses as interest rates have going up. They're still having supply issues. They're still more expensive for them to build. And on the other end, on the buy side, their customers are being choked out for higher interest rates. Now, what you're going to see is someone's going to do a video and say, new home sales are down 22%. And you're going to think that like new home sales are off like a fifth of the price. And that's not what this is saying. This is the supply of homes dropped. So if I said the supply of resale homes dropped, that means that there's actually less homes on the market, which you would think would make home prices go up, right? Because it's a lower supply. So that's why we want to talk about these numbers, because sometimes people don't understand and they just see drop in 22% and they think, oh my gosh, the new homes have dropped 22%. But the values are only off 5% from the record high.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying they're going to keep going up, because they're not likely to. But what's interesting is you have two things happening. You have pressure on the buy side, so you have this downward pressure on prices. But then at the same time, you have supply being choked off because the builders don't want to build they want to overbuild. That didn't happen 15, 16 years ago. The builders were still building like crazy, and all these people that were under contract closed on these deals, and then there was nowhere for them to go. And this time, this got choked off way sooner. New home construction got choked off.
Right. And that's a good thing. You know, when the market responds quickly, it's more likely to not have such dramatic swings. I know that we've seen a lot of dramatic swings in the last few months, but I think this rapid response is helping to mitigate some of that. Regionally, sales of new homes rose in all regions, led by the Northeast, which saw 66.7% surge in sales. So it was a substantial change. But remember, the Northeast has less total homes built than the West and the South, which have the most. So it may be, that normally there's 100,000 built and they built 150,000, but it's a lot smaller number. So you see bigger percent changes, right? And then it says the gain might reflect home buyers rushing to compete purchases before mortgage rates move higher. So you have this FOMO, let's get the house before rates go to 8% or whatever, or we locked a rate at 4, because we know people that locked a rate at like 5%. Right. So
and their house isn't even done.
Right. So that FOMO with the rates is kind of like the same sort of thing that we saw earlier in the year and last year, as far as fear of missing out on purchasing a home at all because inventory was so scarce.
Okay, this last sentence here. Even if rates are inching towards 7%, uncertainty about a worsening macroeconomic environment is pushing people to act instead of hoping for prices to fall before jumping in. So there's two things happening. You have home prices starting to go down a bit, in some markets a little more, and in some specific areas a little more. But then you have rates still kind of going up. So people they're saying, if I wait for home prices to go down, I may miss out because interest rates may now be too high, and I end up, it doesn't help me to do that.
Right.
And this This is a question we get about timing the market.
Right, and that happens all the time. The argument is, well, when's the right time to buy? And our position is always the right time to buy, the right time to sell is always when it's right for you. Worry less about the market, more about your particular situation, because that generally is much more valuable.
One thing that's interesting right now in both new homes and resale homes is that we're not seeing the extreme supply increases that we saw in 2006. Right? And we also are, because interest rates back then were actually going down. But the problem is that, people weren't buying because you had so many people that had gone into default, and that they weren't, you didn't have qualified buyers.
Right.
And the mortgage products had all been basically chopped off.
Right. So mortgage products are out there. They're getting more creative. Hopefully they will still have pretty reasonable lending requirements so that borrowers are actually in a good position to make the payments long term and not get into financial trouble.
We talked about this before with the housing market is market by market, and we went to a conference, the NAREP conference in San Diego, and we were in Coronado, and we went to, now there's only, I think, 10 houses on the market under 2 million or something.
Right, not a whole lot.
Out of 16,000 houses on the island, right? There were 10 on the market. And there were 2 open houses. And both open houses, literally, there was like a nonstop flood of people going in these houses. And these were not, the cheapest was $1 million, right?
Right. And it wasn't a house, it was a condo.
It was a condo, 2-bedroom condo for $1 million. So, they were even saying that it's unheard of there that these houses are on the market a month, because normally they come on the market and disappear, completely gone. So the entire housing market is not screwed, basically. Just certain markets, and markets certainly that were overbought, and that prices went up didn't make sense.
Right.
So here's another quote from the article. It says mortgage applications had increased last week as buyers seem to worry about rates rising even further in the coming weeks and months. Now, this is 2 things, because I talked to a lender this week who said they actually had a little dip. Because remember, this article just came out.
Right.
It came out yesterday.
Yeah.
So there was actually a dip about a week ago where for a second it went down, rates went down to 5 something really low, and then they jump back up to 6 really quick, right? And I was talking to a lender about this. He said they had a flood of people come in and say, I'm buying a house, lock my rate, right? So I think that's going to be an interesting thing going forward, because you have the dynamics of the market of this is a short-term thing, right, Wanda? This is not a fundamental flaw that's going to affect the housing market for 20 years. This is the economy's kind of inflation, Fed is raising rates, economy's trying to slow down the economy, right? People are trying to figure out what the hell, because maybe they want to buy in the next year, and they're saying, well, I saw a video where some guy said the prices would be 30% last year. That's great, but if the rates go up to 10%, am I even in a worse position, right?
Right. So everybody's situation is different. Take a look at your numbers, put pencil to paper, figure it out.
Okay, here's this is the last quote from the article, and then we'll do our final analysis. We don't expect the August pace of sales to be sustained in the months ahead. So this is not a great outlook. This is an outlier. This is maybe it's the last gap for the new homes. As in the latest rise in mortgage rates will take an added toll on home buying affordability. Nancy Vanden Houden, a lead U.S. economist at Oxford Economics, wrote in a note, further price declines may bring in buyers, however, keeping a floor under activity. So the market is working the way it's supposed to. The interest rate rise has choked off demand. It's choked off the builders, which is actually very good for the housing market. But then how does this affect the market in 5 years when the builders aren't building today?
So we're going to be kind of back to square one, where we don't have enough housing supply. We have more people, looking for houses than we have houses available for them. So long term, we're looking at very likely homes appreciating nicely. No, I'm not suggesting they're going to appreciate the way they have over the last 2 years. I'm not suggesting that, but they will appreciate nicely.
In 5 years or 10 years.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, they will appreciate nicely. You know, we've had a lot of black swan events, and we've talked about this a lot, but we've had these black swan events between the pandemic and the war in Ukraine and the different changes as far as what the government has been doing with economic stimulus and all these other different things, which are having an impact on the economy. You know, at the end of the day, you know, that's part of what's going on with the inflation and all of these things. So we don't have a crystal ball. Notice there's no crystal ball.
No.
If you mail us one, we'll talk to you.
We'll put it out here.
Yes, we'll put it out here.
Someone's got to send us one.
Yes. But you know, we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know what's going to happen. But what we do know is that there are lots of people, not enough houses long term. So supply and demand is going to do its thing. You know, we agree with the people that say that, you know, August was either a last gasp or an outlier. We agree with the people that say that, you know, the August numbers are going to be revised. We don't dispute any of that. But we also look at the numbers fundamentally what they are. And the numbers are lots of people, not enough houses. We all need someplace to live.
Yeah.
That's really the bottom line.
Yeah, certainly there's definitely short-term pain in the housing market. You know, this belief that I'm going to sell my house and then wait a year and buy it back is great, but if you're not paying cash for the house, you can't do that because you're probably that 2% rate you had. And that's a big thing. There's a ton of people I've talked to with really low rates that have said, why would I sell? Because here's the problem, I can't do 1031 exchange because I can't sell my house and move my money and get a new loan because the loan rates are so high and I don't want to give up my 2.5% mortgage. I'm just going to not sell the house. And I think that's the one thing that's stopped because housing, the level of supply of homes in the U.S. is still below the long-term average. Even though, but remember, when people say, oh, but say, you know, 60% rise in homes on the market. Well, yeah, but that's based on the lowest it's ever been, like ever historically. And they're talking about that rise. It's just like talking about the home prices falling 5%. They fell 5% from the highest ever recorded, which was probably FOMO and, you know,
a lot of things
that came up with that. So yeah, is it likely that if you buy a new home in 6 months, it's going to be cheaper? Yeah, it's probably likely. It's probably likely in most markets if you buy a resale home in 6 months. In a year, I don't know. In a year and a half, who knows? Some estimates have been that this would all wash out by the end of 2023. Rates would start going down again. And I think what's to be interesting for those of you who follow our channel, and if you don't follow it, please subscribe, is that to watch what happens in 9 months or a year when the rates start coming back down, and then you see this rush of people to buy, that we could be right back to where we were 2020, 2021. And then I had a mortgage guy tell me, don't worry about the rates today. Everyone's going to refi 2024 because we're expecting to go way, not down to where we were before, but you know, the long-term economic models put us way back at normal lending rates right now. There's so much risk priced into mortgage rates right now that they think when we get through this that they'll be able to take all that risk out of mortgage rates. We'll be back to a lower rate. And that's why you're hearing this thing where people say, just get the loan and then in a year or two, you know, we're not advocating to do this, right? We're not saying buy a house now and refi in 2 years, but that's what a lot of people's strategies are. They're like, the rate's not too bad and the prices have softened a little bit, so I'm just going to get the house because I want to buy the house. And my plan is in 2 years I'll refi when the payment's a little manageable. If you don't lose a ton of equity.
So a couple of things to keep in mind. Because people have low interest rates on their current homes, like Todd said, they're probably not as interested in relocating to a different home. So what are they doing? They're redoing their kitchens, they're redoing their bathrooms, they're making their nest a little bit nicer. So that might be an opportunity out there. And we are seeing that still with the flippers. The flippers are still out there. I'm still getting offers from them. So don't believe that flipping is over. It is not over.
And the market, you have a bunch of listings.
I do.
And you're getting offers and you have closings. Like stuff is still happening.
Oh, it is
like
still
people
happening.
are still selling houses and people are still making offers on housing. And they're asking for some price.
Yeah, they are.
Like I won't pay list, I'll pay less.
Right, and
Okay.
and that's totally fine. If that's a number that makes sense to the seller, great.
Right.
That doesn't make sense to all sellers because not all sellers have to sell.
Okay, that's an interesting thing. I've heard that more in the last couple months, where people have said, "I want to sell the house," and I've had some people who watch the thing have said, "I'm thinking of selling the house, but I don't have to sell it." So it's like, well, if you don't have to sell it, then why would you sell it now?
Right.
Like if you're just, because you're probably going to have longer time on the market,
Right.
And you're probably not going to get what you would have got in April.
And those are the sellers that are going to have what I call optimistic prices.
Right, because they're trying to go back to April and get that price for the house.
Right, and that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, homes are still selling, so please don't think that they're not. If you're interested in selling your house, please consider using our services. But, if you don't have to sell and you're looking for an April number for your house, this probably isn't the time to do it.
If you're buying or selling a house anywhere in the U.S., let us know. We have this great resource called Referral Cloud. We currently have 2,500 agents on the platform all over the country that can help you buy with purchasing or selling a house. Soon to be over 40,000 agents.
Yes, we're working on that.
We'll announce that in the next couple weeks. What else?
Please subscribe, hit the notification bell. Know that we missed you. We appreciate that you missed us. Show us some love by hitting the like button. And leave us comments. Tell us what you think. Tell us what's happening in your market. Tell us what you're seeing in your neighborhood. We have homes for sale in our neighborhood too, so we watch like everybody else. Not only do I watch my listings and what's happening in the neighborhood of my listings, but I also watch what's happening in the neighborhoods of where I own property myself. So It's always interesting to see what's happening in your neck of the woods, so please share that with us.
All right. We will see you on the next video.
Bye.
Bye.